Good morning. So last episode, number 8 of Exiting the Matrix, I was talking about how meditation is one of the most valuable tools for exiting the matrix because that is the tool of self-awareness. And to apply the scientific method, we must be observing the observer, ourself. We create reality in that when we look at reality, it changes for our viewing. It is what we are seeing is not what we are seeing. We are seeing our interpretation based on a very finite sense of the greater picture. So we see about 2% of what's in front of us. That means 98% of what's in front of us we don't see. So this is why meditation is so important, because when we learn more about our internal state, we can see more of the external world. We see far beyond the 2% that our eyes see and our ears and our nose can detect, because once we meditate, we start unlocking the secrets. We start comprehending why we are certain ways and why people are certain ways and why the world is certain ways. Because meditation is not only becoming familiar with ourselves, it's becoming so familiar with ourselves that we learn where we end and the universe begins. And this is where real study begins. Because when we realize we are not just working through static from our own emotional body, our own mental body, then we're all actually on to something greater. And then we can start verifying it by checking in with greater realities and looking at larger models and fractal metaphor realities. We can look at other forms of spirituality to find confirmation. So I wanted to go over briefly some different styles of meditation because there was a request for this, and it's just, it's such an important thing. I think that the concept of meditation can be a difficult entryway. So basically anything that's getting us into theta wave brain state is meditation. Simple ways to practice doing this. Watch a tree blowing the breeze. The alder tree is, alder and birch have leaves that are green and silver and are known for causing a shimmering effect when they're blowing the breeze and are like the meditation tree. So if you have a birch or an alder near you, they're known for being fairly tall, thin, and having lots of one side silver, one side green leaves that just start shining and glimmering when it blows in the breeze. Listening to a fountain, the sound of water hitting water is a natural form of meditation. It represents sacred geometry, a fractal metaphor for clarity. So instead of static is again like false reality. Static is untuned. Static is inappropriate. Static is not intentional. It's unconscious. So these are conscious forms of noise. This is why nature heals. Listening to birds, listening to the breeze, watching the breeze. These are all forms of meditation because they're forms of observing natural law. They're forms of experiencing sacred geometry. So they bring us more into alignment with meditation. So if we can simply watch a tree blowing the breeze for 2 minutes, get up and go do our thing, and remain with the feeling of the trees blowing the breeze. Carry that feeling over as much as we can. This is the same as doing a whole yoga practice and then carrying the feeling of the meditation of the yoga practice on and not just jumping up and leaving. It's the exact same thing, but it's much easier to practice when we're looking at trees and then walking away than it is when we're doing an hour and a half yoga session and then doing a slow transition when we have all these things we know we have to do right after class. So varieties of meditation. People that are saying they're having difficulty meditating or they're not feeling like meditation is feeling very real or tangible, this is fine. We're talking about a whole new skill set. We're talking about developing new muscles. These are actual muscles and organs inside of our brain that haven't been used consciously very much. So it's going to feel a little weird at first. It might not feel right or weird or normal at first because it hasn't been done in a while. Imagine if you never ran or climbed a hill, never used your legs strenuously in your whole life, and then all of a sudden you climbed 100 steps. It would feel like you just died practically. Your muscle, your overuse would be so intense. So it's the same thing. These organs, when they're first being used, can feel like it's very intense. So it's okay to do very short sessions as long as you feel like you're getting something done. So forms of meditation: trees and the breeze. Meditating on a plant, pretending we are a plant and vicariously living through that plant, imagining, I'm reaching up towards the sun, I'm swaying in the breeze, I've got roots that are drawing moisture and nutrition, and I am circulating my fluids depending on where the temperature is, and I'm protecting myself and expanding myself, and I'm doing the best I can to grow as a plant. I'm fulfilling my dream as much as possible. Rumi says that consciousness sleeps in minerals, dreams in plants, becomes awake in animals, and becomes self-aware in humans. So we can meditate on rocks and imagine what it's like to be alive and grow, but be in a permanent dream state, a full dream state, not a waking dream state. We can meditate on being a rock. This is a valid form of meditation because we are using our third eye, we're using theta brainwaves to create another reality where we share our existence with another being. So if anyone's ever heard of having friends with a stuffed animal as a kid, or having a pet rock, I mean, I know that was a fad or a craze, but having a crystal as a friend, or having a plant as a friend, or having a pet as a friend, these are all valid things because these are all live things, and live things have their own spirit. They are of this earth, thus they have a spirit. They're of this earth and they are alive, so they have imbued with the essence of this planet, the spirit. And so we can take it, any time we take to connect with another form of spirit is a valid form of connection. We are dropping in because it is not the exact same form as us. It requires meditation to make that bridge happen. So this is a great way we can meditate, is just imagine being that bee. Oh, okay, I use anti-gravity and I look like I fly around kind of lazily and sloppily because I'm using anti-gravity. I'm not using wings to fly. And my whole job is to use my ultraviolet sensor to find these little portals. I use anti-gravity and I'm searching these violet portals. My whole life is anti-gravity and violet portals and collecting gold. Like, bees are meditate on being a bee for a while. They're amazing. So there are many different forms of meditation. Soto Zen, I believe, is the style most people are familiar with, even if they aren't familiar with the name. Soto Zen means silent contemplation, and it was the first form of meditation in the East to be distributed to the peasants, meaning that religion was all a privileged, high-class thing. It was the ability to enhance our ability to be in the world, our perception, our intelligence, our consciousness, our awareness, our ability to not be as much of a slave anymore. These are all things that come from meditation and spiritual practice. So they were closely guarded for the royalty. So Soto Zen was saying, okay, you peasants who aren't very smart, you still deserve to learn about self-care and learn about solving your own problems. So Soto Zen was spread to the peasants for an hour, working up to an hour, staring at the wall silently and in a very soft gaze. And that's all it is. So Soto Zen is stillness. I would consider this to be just like it was created, an entry-level version of meditation. I've seen people who've practiced this for 20, 30 years and have not reached any form of higher state of consciousness. Again, in the West, we have this concept that meditation is fake and we just do it for the credentials to sound cool. And we don't actually, here it's such a trendy thing that people take yoga classes and don't know what meditation is. They do Shavasana where they're laying on the ground doing meditation, but it's just laying on the ground following a guided meditation. People don't actually do meditation in yoga classes here. It's trendy. So again, anything we can do to make meditation real. It's fine if we're doing it for a trend, and it's fine if we're doing it for social reasons too. There's nothing wrong with that, but we want to make sure we are finding meaningful meditation that is actually improving the quality of our life, improving our awareness. Okay, so other forms. Soto Zen, if we don't know where to start, we can start here. We can start just being still. But this ends up, I find, for myself, being more of a struggle and more about discipline. And everyone that I've seen who practices Soto Zen meditation or similar meditation is all about the struggle. It's all about dominance over the mind. And I absolutely do not subscribe to the concept that meditation is defeating the mind. Meditation is focusing on things that are so much cooler than the mind that the mind becomes less important. And if it's a concept of fighting the mind, it's just fighting the mind. So these 30-year Soto Zen veterans are just obnoxious, unaware psychologists who are judging and putting down everything they see because they spent so much time being silent and contemplative and not figuring anything out about themselves and not doing any self-analysis then now they feel they have the right to judge everyone else because they've spent so much time doing it. So again, Soto Zen maybe not the best introduction. It's great for some people. Some people can just sit down and be quiet, and all of a sudden they unlock the secrets of the universe within themselves. But my experience is having engagement really helps. So watching a tree, the tree draws us in. The meditation of the breath. I do not recommend meditating on the breath because the breath is complex. I believe in bringing more awareness to the breath, focusing on what it feels like to breathe, practicing different breath techniques, but just a meditation on the breath, that's super distracting. I would never tell anyone to try to, especially not entry level, to try practicing working with the breath. Work with something easy to begin with. Work with what you're called to work with. If you have a cat, practice petting your cat, and instead of letting your emotional body get all cuddly and cutesy with your cat, try channeling that energy up into your heart. Try imagining as you're petting your cat, as you're cuddling with your cat or your dog or whatever it is, that the energy is not satiating your emotional body. You're not getting a smile and your cuddly feeling. You're literally being the observer, and you're observing yourself as you are bringing joy to another being, and the being you're bringing joy to is expressing its joy back. Try to see this energetically. Try to watch for those energies, those fields coming out. We can see them visually with our third eye, and they will actually shimmer with our tangible, with our dual eyes. We will actually see shimmerings of these energies once we tune ourselves with our third eye enough. So I would suggest, as an entry-level meditation, to try as many different things as you can find and stick with the ones that work and keep trying new ones. The ocean is another great form of meditation. Ocean waves are great, but the whole experience of sitting in the sand with the sun, with the salty breeze, and hearing the ocean is so primal that 20 minutes of this is going to drop anyone into a meditative state unless we're really stuck in our heads or really stuck in an emotion. But this will draw almost anyone out. Bare feet in the sand, salty breeze, sun, and ocean sounds. This is one of the most tangible forms of meditation I've ever found. Virtually everybody knows about a beach meditation. You just go there and be quiet, and it's awesome. Or if anyone has ever surfed or boogie boarded or sailing or fishing or done any kind of activity where you're working with the ocean, it's even more so, because all of a sudden our awareness is brought to the ocean. We're contemplating the ocean. The ocean is this vast, vast form of consciousness that embodies the concept of singularity and duality in such a mind-boggling way that each individual aspect of atom of water is its own unique being, and they're all merged together and fluid. This is an amazing metaphor. So even just contemplating the ocean is its own amazing form of meditation. Contemplating our sun or the star is an amazing meditation. If we are in contemplation where we are in joy of, wow, the sun is amazing. The sun is so warm and so light and allows for life. The sun is amazing. And then contemplating the fact that it has solar storms and that it's kind of like a giant battery and power plant, but it also has a consciousness and seems to have variations and moods and patterns. So we can get intellectual with the meditation. We can be in the awe and the joy and be expanding our consciousness into the meditation. I often find when I'm doing a meditation, if I am duality really plugged into the meditation, that means my mind is not really very active anymore, and my emotions are very much subdued. They're very much experienced without taking over anything else that's happening. So when I'm in the deep meditative state, information starts coming to me. Instead of me looking for information, I open up my curiosity during the meditation, and the information starts coming to me. So this is what they start talking about in four-dimensional consciousness. Everything is curiosity, and there's no judgment. Just everything is curiosity. But in fifth-dimensional consciousness, everything is data. So whatever I look at is telling me information. Curiosity is so the norm and so the default, and the self-restriction has been so much released, and the dream state is so active all the time that I'm actively receiving. I can look at whatever I'm looking at, and it's telling me things. I'm looking at the clouds, and it's telling me how much moisture is in them, how far dispersed they are, how much ions are in the air, how much light is reflecting too. If there's some refraction, is there a little hint of a rainbow hidden in there? How is that dynamic? What angle is required for that rainbow to occur? There's just data is everywhere. We look look at the side of a building. We see how old the paint is. We see how it's reflecting light. We can contemplate what kind of wood it's made out of, what kind of wood is in the air. Again, we can go deep into any subject. Once we're in a meditative state, everything is data. People become a source of curiosity because we see people and we see these complex beings with all this going on, and all of a sudden they're telling all themselves about themselves to us. Generally, unless they've reached a state of higher consciousness in which we just see that they're in, more of a bliss state. But generally, people who are not self-aware are constantly telling the outside world about themselves because they lack self-awareness. They don't know that they're doing it. So we can meditate on other people. We can have our meditative practice be literally being in non-judgment around other people and being really good observers. Again, this does not mean we have to be passive or we have to put up with anything that doesn't feel right to us. But we can make our meditation the study of other people, the non-judgmental study of other people. This is a really helpful thing to have. Meditation of self, again, is the most important form of meditation. So self-accountability practice is another form of meditation. If we can observe our thoughts and our feelings, and what that means is that as we have our thoughts, we say, why did I have that thought? I'm going to stop all my other thoughts for a minute and say, why did I have that thought? Does it relate to anything? Is it motivated by anything? Was it caused by anything? Have I had it before? Is it a common pattern? So this is self-reflection. Why did I have that feeling? Did something get said that triggered that feeling in me? Is this a past pattern that I've experienced? Can I trace this feeling back to a certain point? Is this feeling value to me? And also recognizing that feelings are their own thing. So just by reviewing our feelings and sorting them out, that's going to be a helpful practice. So other forms of meditation, walking meditation, when we focus on our steps and our flow of our walking to the point where it feels really balanced, we feel kind of like we're gliding, we're incorporating our horizontal movement as well as our forward movement. The sway of our hips and our shoulders and our arms is really important. When we get a really gentle, balanced walk, it becomes a meditative walk. So our body is all of a sudden in alignment. Our chin is tucked in, our spine is straight, and all of a sudden we're feeling like we're getting a massage because we're walking. And within a minute or two of doing a walk like this, and we're in meditation, where our bodies, our nervous system are aligned and are gently massaging themselves. And so when a nervous system is in alignment and soothing and taking care of itself and feeling better, it naturally wants to be in meditation. It promotes meditation. So walking meditations, there are so many forms of meditation. There are many different varieties that you can go and look up. There are the Power of Now meditations, Eckhart Tolle, which is all about saying anything that isn't in this moment is less than this moment. And it's the constant question, do I want to be in something that's less than this moment when I can be more in this moment? The answer to all problems is within this moment. So the more I'm in this moment, the more powerful I'll be. So just meditating on staying in the moment is a really good meditation. I would be careful to not let this become a focus practice. So it's not just about remembering to focus on the now, but remember we're using our higher brain function. This means that we are softening our eyes ever so slightly and widening our third eye. We're consciously opening our third eye. And just imagine what that feels like. Imagine seeing through the center of our heads rather than seeing through our two eyes, which means our two eyes go a little bit soft and we start looking through our third eye. We're looking from the back of our heads. We are not existing in our forehead. We are existing back near our occiput and looking through our forehead. Because when we are in our forehead, that is fear mode. That is immediacy mode. That means we are using just our frontal lobe and we are not accessing our brainstem anymore. Our brainstem has been kind of shut off if we're in the front of our foreheads. So if we are shocked into reality, or if we are, in an uncomfortable state of dis-ease, we will likely feel like we are in the very front of our heads. If there's an emergency or panic or intensity, we might feel forced to the front of our forehead. So a good meditation, this is one that I've been doing for a couple months now that I love, is making sure I'm in the back of my head looking through my third eye. I want my consciousness to be back near my occiput. I want to feel it there. I want to feel a little bit of fuzziness in front here. I want my eyes to be slightly fuzzy and soft. I want to feel like my center of vision is coming through my third eye and expanding out this way. And again, keeping the eyes slightly soft. You can see probably right now my eyes look ever so slightly unfocused. And this is because that softness, slight unfocus, and dialing and opening in of the third eye is a meditative practice that I try to do in all moments. There's a really beautiful meditation that can be added to any meditation. There are chanting meditations. I really like chanting meditations because they're very engaging. I can use my vocal cords. This is the fifth chakra of expression and creation. Communication is one aspect of creation, but creation is huge. So I really like focusing on meditations that open up my chakras, because when our chakras are opened up, then we're able to be more whole beings. This is like a shortcut. So I do my chakra meditation because it works better than emotionally processing. It works better than any other form of meditation I've found. When I go through and I tone and I use the mudras for the different energetic locations, and I use the specific ancient sounds, and I use my awareness and my visualization, and I channel in a higher energy, then this becomes really powerful, and I feel transformed for at least half a day after I do this. I try to do this at least twice a day, and I'm working on getting a third time a day in, because it transforms me. I feel aligned. I feel balanced. I can't imagine doing anything else that would make me feel more grounded and balanced than doing my chakra meditation. This is why I use the Gayatri chakra meditation as well as the Gayatri song. The Gayatri song is amazing. But the chakra meditation is really, really potent. Again, I never really believed in chakras until I had a spiritual awakening, and I just saw how they're basically just a simple reference system. They are a metric. They're a way to talk about our beings in a more complete way, because the way we've been taught to talk about our bodies is very limited and crude. We don't have a cultural conception of what our identity, our relation, our power over our thoughts and emotions, our ability to be loving and curious, our ability to consciously create and communicate, our ability to see further than our senses and see the 98%, some of that 98% that none of our other senses see, and our ability to channel in from the higher sources. The fact that we know the cosmos are amazing and we're of the cosmos. We're electrical beings, which means we can electrically interface with the electrical world. There's nothing superstitious or mysterious about the fact that we are electrical beings. Our nervous systems and our brains are electricity, and we are energetic beings with energetic bodies, and we live in an energetic world, which means that our energetic bodies interfacing with the energies all around us all the time, and that interface is more of reality than our sense of touch, because our sense of touch is kind of a lie. There's nothing solid in my hand, and there's nothing solid in anything I'm touching. It's mostly empty space. That's the illusion. The reality is that we are energy beings living in an energy world, and everything is tuned to different frequencies. And simple examples of this is lower density things are rocks, medium density things are liquids, and lightest density things are gaseous. I mean, this is a very literal sense of how we can see density. When our mood is very low, we don't want to do much, and we're more sedated, and our faces droop, and we're restricted and closed. As our vibe raises and we're more happy, literally the electrons in our atoms start spinning faster and achieving greater orbits. They start achieving a more dynamic system that allows for more of what they are. They allow to be more of what they are. So when we are physically happy, our cells are literally spinning at a faster rate. The electrons in our atoms are spinning faster, the rate they should be spinning at, the healthy rate. So when we talk about vibration and having good vibes, we're not talking about putting a smile on our face or pretending the world is good or faking happiness or finding something that means happy. When we're talking about good vibes, we're talking about the electrons in our atoms spinning at the speed they're supposed to, so we're functioning properly. High vibe is not a hippie slang. High vibe is about as cut and dry science as you can get. We're talking about electrons in orbit fields, potential orbit fields of electrons in atoms. This is super cut and dry science. High vibing is the act of having the conscious control over the electrons in our atoms. This is advanced technology. Being happy, truly vibing high is advanced technology. This is why these 432 or 396 tune tracks, these Hertz frequency tracks, are such advanced technology, because they have the ability to allow us to, with ease, speed up the rate of our electrons in our atoms, bringing us into a higher vibrational state. And when we're in a higher vibrational state, our atoms do not support dis-ease as much. This is why when we sing and dance, we feel better and our pain goes away, because we are in a higher vibrational state, and when our atoms are spinning faster, more like they should, they don't allow for dis-ease to happen as much. They don't allow it. The potential isn't there. It's when our vibrational state, when our atoms are spinning too slowly, that we all of a sudden become susceptible to dis-ease and uncomfortability and unhappiness. So the matrix designs reality to slow the vibration, to lower our vibration. And we know that lowering our vibration, being mean, is all about slowing down the rate at which the electrons spin in our atoms so that they are no longer spinning at their correct speeds to maintain proper homeostasis. Okay, so that's a lot of science, but it's really, really, really basic science. We're talking about the atom and the electron, and we're talking about good vibes and bad vibes. Bad vibes slow down the rate of the electron spin and cause dis-ease and do not sustain the holistic system anymore. So anything that really allows us to consistently increase the rate of our vibration, higher our vibration, is what we should be focused on. Everything else is kind of garbage. And we want to be moral. We want to recognize another great meditation is the we are all beings meditation. I try to do this at all times. This is so important. This means that everything is made out of the sun and the earth in our world right here. Everything is imbued with earth spirit, because Earth is a creative force. Everything is made out of her and imbued with her spirit. It's her life force and her material body. And given animus through the sun. We're given charge, energy through the sun. So everything is born out of this dynamic. So that means that an ant and a tree and even a blowing of a breeze is conscious. There is conscious spirit and conscious quantity of soul and spirit within everything. The more concentrated the soul and the spirit is in something, the more alive it feels. So I have seen trees that feel much more alive than people, because when people abandon respect of spirit, this means respect of themselves and respect of all other forms of spirit, spirit abandons them. When we disrespect spirit, spirit disrespects us by leaving us. Spirit does not tolerate disrespect. This is another reason why meditation is so important, because as soon as we meditate enough, we realize this, we experience this. This isn't just a concept anymore about how spirit is in everything, and the more respect we have for spirit, first and foremost, our own spirit. We got to take care of our own spirit the most before we take care of anyone else's spirit. If we don't have good boundaries and we're feeling like we're being disrespected all the time, we're not taking care of our spirit. If we're not giving ourselves the bath at the end of the week, if we're not going out and do fun stuff, if we're not doing enough self-care, we're not taking care of our spirit. If we're letting people be disrespectful of us and haven't figured out how to process that yet, we're not being disrespectful of ourselves. Sometimes the most respectful thing we can do for spirit is to stand up to someone who's being cruel and just point out what they're doing and take the heat for it, take the fallout for it, because we are proving to our spirit, we are proving to universal spirit that we are going to do what it takes to find the balance, to have respect for spirit. And if one spirit is disrespecting another form of spirit, being able to communicate that. We're not talking about antagonizing that. We're not talking about getting revenge for the fact that something was done to harm spirit, but communicating it and then moving on is the most respectful thing we can do. And spirit will reward us instantly. If someone says something mean to us and we see them every day and we call them on it in a respectful way, but we say, hey, you did something that was disrespectful. I don't appreciate that. Are we friends? Or we have a professional? If we bring this up, spirit's going to be so happy with us. We're going to feel so much better after that. We're going to experience so much more ease after that. Generally, the other person is going to feel like they did something wrong and want buy-in and want to resolve the situation if they're not completely shut down. So spirit absolutely wants us to communicate and call out problems and do something about problems. The lowest form of vibration, the furthest from meditation, is shame and guilt. These have been mapped out on frequency machines as the lowest form of emotion, the lowest frequency, the slowest spinning of the electrons in the atoms. So when we are in shame and guilt, we have zero ability to accomplish anything. We are at the bottom. So literally anything is better than that. And unfortunately, many people who have not turned to meditation have turned to making other people feel bad to get them out of this state, to raise their vibration by lowering other people's vibrations lower than theirs. Again, so this is not something we want to be doing. Obviously, if we are being disrespectful of another form of spirit to try to increase our own spirit, Spirit's going to abandon us right away. They're going to be like, I am you. I know what you're doing. That's the other thing, is that when they talk about God being all pervasive and being able to see everything, we're talking about spirit. God is the sun, unconditional love and light. God doesn't care if we fuck up. God always loves us. It's spirit. It's Earth spirit who's watching us all the time, because she is us. She is our body. She is the matrix of our electrical system. She is a large part of our consciousness. She is our guidance system. She is us and the whole world around us. So nothing we do escapes Gaia's spirit, our aspect of Gaia's spirit. This is the primary relationship we're in. The sun is unconditional love and light. Spirit is very concerned about every detail. She's like, hey, you're part of me. That guy's part of me. That tree is part of me. That blade of grass you stepped on, that's me. That concrete that laid down, that's part of me too. So spirit is really paying attention to everything. So this whole omnipotent, there's someone watching us all the time, it's absolutely true. It's spirit. It's Earth spirit. It's absolutely watching everything we do all the time. So when we are respectful all the time to everything, when we are respectful to the grass, to the trees, to the flowers we are picking, spirit recognizes respect, and spirit will reward that, and we will feel more in tune, and we will feel more guidance. So I'll do a second part of this, so I can go over some more forms of meditation, because I want to make this really easy, and I'm going to do a write-up and a tutorial where I'm just launching into the demonstrations of these things. All right, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning.